tonight with the reading of information to be remote.
Yeah. The chair of the town council, due to the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis, in accordance with the Governor Sununu pursuant to Executive Order number 2020-04, has determined that the town council is authorized to meet electronically. There is a physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously at Town Hall. We've also confirmed that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access or other electronic means. We are utilizing the Zoom platform for this electronic meeting. All members of the council are contemporaneously during this meeting through the Zoom platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through the dialing of the following phone number: 1-646-558-8656 with the access code 911-702-5727, or by clicking on the following web address: https://zoom.us/j/91170257727. Meeting ID 911-702-5727. We have previously provided the public on how to access the meeting. Instruction provided on the town of Newmarket's website at newmarketnh.gov. And we're providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there's problems with the access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-659-3617, extension 1321. And if there is a problem, we'll adjourn the meeting and reschedule. Please note that all votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. And we'll start the meeting by taking roll call attendance.
Councilor Dumont?
Present.
Councilor Sanders?
Oh.
Councilors Blackstone?
We're having an audio issue with the councilors remotely.
Yep, I'm looking at that right now.
Hold on. Try that again, Councilor Sanders.
Present and alone.
Thank you.
Councilor Blackstone?
Present and on.
Councilor Brabeck?
Present and alone.
Councilor Kuiper?
Present and alone.
Councilor Burns?
Present and alone.
Councilor Weinstein?
Thank you, and we will start this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. Is the public forum. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak this evening? Hi, Chief.
Good evening, Councilors. Pastor, your police chief. Tonight, I would like to introduce the community and the town council to one of our newest officers, Officer Wilson Wardana, who was hired after the retirement of Lieutenant Rick Baudet. Officer Wardana was originally born in Jakarta, Indonesia. He's our first Indonesian-speaking police officer. He moved to the United States at age 10. He's lived on the seacoast since then, Dover, Portsmouth. He's a graduate of Dover High School. He was very involved in high school athletics. After high school, he attended Great Bay Community College. He then went on to enlist in the United States military. He served as a military police officer in our National Guard. We had a close call around January 6th where we lose him for about a week. Fortunately, his unit was allowing us to keep him, and I'm glad he didn't have to go down. Wilson is very involved in his church. He's a very humble police officer. We're excited to have him here, and I think he's going to fit in very well with this community. So, we're going to say a word or two.
Hello everyone, I'm Wilson Wardana. I'm very excited to start my career here in this field, and I am looking forward to meeting all of you in person.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I had a couple questions that I was going to actually reserve for our town manager's report and department reports, because I had seen the information in the bio on Officer Wardana, and I was curious about the onboarding. So I can ask now or I can ask later. It's the same question. But I was just curious about the onboarding of new police officers, because I had, in the bio, it mentioned that he was currently an officer with the guard. And I don't know if that factored into his whatever process has to happen for him to become an officer here in our department.
That's a great question, and I probably should have clarified that a little bit better in my report. He's a military police officer. He still has to attend the New Hampshire Police Academy. Right now, he's in field training, and he's assigned to Officer Emily Schmidt. The two seem to be a good fit for each other. She's a fantastic training officer. In order to get Officer Wardana hired, it's a lengthy process, and for the new counselors who have not heard my spiel before, it takes quite a bit of time. Ideally, we pick from a list from a written test at the Great Bay Community College. The next step is the interview process, which is a very thorough process. The next step is a physical agility test. After the physical agility test, it's normally an interview with myself. And then the next step is a background investigation. And the background investigation is very, very thorough. We go back to your high school, speak to your teachers, we speak to ex-boyfriends, girlfriends, neighbors, creditors, former employees, former employer, friends. It's very, very thorough. If you succeed in passing that, we then subject you to a polygraph examination, which is a lie detector test. It's to make sure that we have honest police officers, and to make sure that there's no skeletons in the closet that could put the town in bad light. Once they pass that, then we subject them to a psychological evaluation, which is a battery of written tests to determine that a police officer is fit for psychological duty, or psychologically fit for duty. And then that officer meets with the psychiatrist in person. Once that is completed, we send the officer to occupational health in Portsmouth, where they have a full half-a-day medical examination done, to include blood work, just a really in-depth physical to make sure he's physically fit or she's physically fit to do this job, and to make sure that they have no pre-existing conditions coming on board. So it's a lengthy process, and we're very fortunate to get Officer on our team. Very excited.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. I think that's really helpful. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other questions? So seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:11. And we will move on to the acceptance of minutes. And so we have a couple minutes to accept tonight. And the first is the January 19th public hearing minutes, and I would accept a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the January 19th public hearing minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions, changes, comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Brabeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The next that we have are the February 3rd, 2021 regular meeting minutes, and I would accept a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 3rd of 2021.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments or changes? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Brabeck? Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The next that we have is the town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The first item is I just want to give an update on COVID-19. As of February 10th, we've had 19 active cases, or 0.2% of the population, and 387, 4% of the population of the town's cumulative cases. 12% of these cases were in institutional settings, such as senior living facilities. Over the last 14 days, we had 35 new cases, 5,498 PCR tests were issued, and people have been tested, or 58% of the population of the town have been tested. I included a chart to show the numbers, how we've been doing since December 1st. December 1st, 2020, we had 9 active cases in the town. We peaked on December 21st with 111 active cases. We are now down to 19 active cases as of February 10th. So we are seeing that decline that we're hearing from everywhere else. And just if you want to go by new cases, and again, this is a little bit off because you got to new cases, you don't see the active for a little more days. The most new cases that we had on December 1st, we had 1 new case when we had 9 active cases. On the 11th, we had 15 new cases, and on the 16th of December, we had 16 new cases. So that's where you saw the peak of the daily new cases. On February 10th, we had 0 new cases in one day, which was pretty remarkable to see that. But we are seeing that decline that you're hearing everywhere else. And just to go a little bit off my written report, the memo that I provided the council yesterday, I provided the council with an update on the Governor's Office of Emergency Relief and Recovery, otherwise known as GOFR, that was created to help businesses and organizations with the economic fallout of COVID-19 last spring. So far, the state has distributed $884,757,236 since the beginning of the pandemic. Organizations in Newmarket have received $4,444,829.63 so far. The largest grant was to the school district, which received $414,592. And the largest private entities to receive grants were Exeter Rental, Promocentric, Prue Oil, and Russ, which received $350,000. I provided the council with a complete listing of all the grants that were given. Again, the highest was $414,000, down to the lowest of $209, not thousand, $209. Just for a comparison as well, the town of Newmarket is the 8th highest on the list. We're not even like the top, and we were the ones who provided the emergency services during that. We received $223,083, and we provided some of those funds to the school to cover some of their expenses. So I just wanted to show how much we received versus other entities in town. And I want to commend the department heads for all the work they've done. We didn't do any extravagant spending during this. We knew the tools that we needed. We tried to get them as quickly as possible, and we were able to do that. So I just want to commend everybody for that work. To continue on with COVID update, the governor announced the state is partnering with Walgreens to distribute more doses of the vaccine. Those doses are in addition to the doses that the state already has. The state is telling the public to not just show up at a Walgreens. We just want to make sure the public understands this, to get a jab. They'll be going by the state appointment list and bump those who have already to go to a Walgreens if it's been postponed far back. We'd encourage anyone with an issue to please call the state at 211. We're starting to hear some rumblings of some issues out there. Again, call 211, and if you cannot get the answer you want there, please call my office or call the police department, and we'll try to get you the right answer from that situation. I received a letter from the town, well, not from the town, from the Newfield Village Water and Sewer District Commissioners. They are studying their current and future water system demands. One alternative they are exploring is purchasing all or a portion of their water from outside source, namely Newmarket. This would be between 37,000 and 60,000 gallons a day. In comparison, Newmarket uses 370,000 gallons a day. So it's really yes, I'll use the pun, a drop in the bucket for the water that we would be using there. This would be a great benefit to Newmarket, as it could have a significant revenue source for our system and to help offset some of the capital items that we would have. We're still looking into this, and any intermunicipal agreement would have to come before the town council. But I also want to take this chance to highlight where the town's water situation is now. When I first got here 9 years ago, we barely had enough water to provide our community with its own water. We would have droughts. We would have to shut down, watering of lawns and any kind of situation during the summer months and even in the winter. However, with the investment of the town and the work with Sean Gregg, we've now been able to offer water to more portions of our communities as well as others. So I just want to highlight that from where we were 9 years ago. The next item is a group of state senators and state representatives have introduced Senate Bill 99-FN, which this bill would remove the limit on the amount of room and meals tax that was placed on municipalities by the state that the state did to balance their own budget. When the room and meals tax was created in the 60s, it helped, as long as with state aid grant, it was there to replace several other taxes that the state municipalities collected, income tax, sales tax, those kind of things. But at the time, the state promised municipalities, okay, we're gonna get rid of these sources of funding for the municipalities, but we're gonna make sure you get a share of the room and meals tax, and we're gonna give you a state aid grant. Well, we don't get a state aid grant anymore. They cut that during the Great Recession, and they've limited our actual distribution of the room and meals tax. It was understood at the time that the state would receive 60% of all of the tax and local governments 40%. Since the 1990s, it was continuously reduced and limited. What I did provide to the council in a chart was that currently in the last 10 years, from 2011 to 2001, we've received about $4.9 million in room and meals tax. What we should have gotten with our 40% was $8.4 million. So we were short about $4 million, or $3.5 million that the state shorted us from our share of the room and meals tax. This bill would make us whole and bring us back up to our 40% share of the room and meals tax. And what I would ask is if the council could contact our legislative delegation to support returning these funds to local government where they were promised many, many years ago, but we just haven't received. And always understand that if we don't have it on this end, we either have to postpone projects, or at the end of the day, the only other area we can go to is property taxes. So this was the deal that we said when we went to property taxes, that this was some revenue that we were going to get. It's just we stopped getting that in the early 2000s, late 90s. Finally, a financial report at the end of January. We've completed 58% of the fiscal year, and we have expended 60%. There are no anomalies in the expenses, and we were 2% lower than we were last year at this time. As for revenues, we've collected 90% of our estimated revenues, which is normal because of the tax billing situation. Motor vehicle permits are on track at 61% collected, which is approximately 71,000 higher than budgeted last year. We've only collected 39% of our estimated budget for building permits, and I did attach an expense and revenue report. And I did provide the council with some updated pictures of the work at the McAllen Dam. They've installed a vault for some of the mechanics, and I thought it was kind of interesting that they're going to have a brand new facility right next to the old stone dam. So I did provide pictures to the council, and that's all I have tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the town manager?
Councilor Burns.
Councilor Burns.
It's kind of a two-part question regarding the vaccine rollout. Which phase of that are we in today? Are we in 1B or 2A? And then what is have you heard anything about the timeline? I know 2A is March, but have you heard anything more about the timeline?
Nothing new. They're still saying March.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other, Counselor Dumont?
Just a quick question for the town manager. I like the idea of a new revenue stream from the town of Newfields. I was curious, is this just in addition to what they currently have under their current system? So instead of expanding their water projects that they have now, they would just look to buy from Newmarket to help feed their need, or is it something where they'd want to switch to Newmarket altogether?
You'd probably want to switch to Newmarket altogether, but they're still investigating that.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Counselor Kuiper, did you have your hand up? No, okay, sorry. You're far away from me, so I can only see so much. I do have a couple questions, and so first is about the Senate Bill 99, because I was interested in this. The numbers are, I don't want to say they're confusing, but like they're astounding, I guess maybe is the word that I'm looking for. So in 2011, we received $411,000, basically, 412. And in 2021, it was 478. So in a decade, it barely went up. Which I get over our expenses certainly have gone up in the last decade. It reminds me of, we have looked at the police budget. We've looked at like different aspects of our budget over the last 5, 8, 10, 12 years that really haven't changed. And I'm so impressed with what we do, but I'm also horrified that we are doing so much with so little support from the state.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And that's
I don't know what you can say.
and that's the problem. I mean, again, so last year, 2021, we received $478,701 in room and meals tax. We were supposed to receive $853,869, and remember that takes in consideration that restaurants were closed for 4 months of the year. That's why it's lower than 2020,
Right.
which we were supposed to receive $479,596. We did receive that, but we're supposed to receive $948,317. So we're not getting our share. The governors, as you chosen a while back, and the legislatures are not kicking in their share to the municipalities when it comes to room and meals tax. And you're right. I mean, we are basically using the same amount, a little bit higher than we were in 2011. And we're trying to do 2021 costs on 2011 funds. And that's why, we have, we scrape, and our budgets on the town side are much closer now because of the fact that, we don't have the revenues coming in that were promised us.
So, as far as what we can do at this point, you think that whether or not it's helpful, I don't know what the legislature is planning, but we can contact our certainly our state senator.
Yes.
Because it's a Senate bill, and obviously our state reps also, because it will at some point ideally head over to their side.
Correct. And I know it's some local state reps, not from Newmarket, but we're co-sponsors with it as well, from I think Stratham and Exeter.
I would imagine this is a bipartisan type of bill, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. All right. I'll keep looking up, so if you have a question or a comment and I miss you, just kind of give me a holler. I apologize. I do have a couple other small minor things. Let me just find them. I wanted to mention, I had already talked about my questions with the police department report. With the fire, I was really happy to see that Chief Mulaski is looking to utilize our licensed paramedics, and so that was in the report. and I look forward to seeing that proposal. And then I was just curious with the DPW, obviously our reports that we receive are a little delayed because it's for January. We've had some snow events since then. I was just sort of curious how we're holding up with OT and with the snow that we've had and that we're expecting.
I'll have to check, because we did have a couple of events the last week, and just, again, for the public, that we would rather have a snow event than what we had on Tuesday. We don't want ice. That takes much more work hours to battle than a snow event, but we can check that.
Because our events at this point are the same as last year.
Yep.
Like we're right on par as of January, again, the end of the report, even though the days of snowfall are considerably less.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Obviously, it's something that we're always looking at. Any other questions or comments for the town manager? I am seeing none, so I will move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? Councilor Brayback.
Hi. The Conservation Commission met last week, and just one question came out of that I wanted to see if it could be answered here. So the Conservation Commission got some grant funds to move forward with habitat work at Wigan Farm. And so they've gone ahead and gotten bids from some companies who do this work, and have one company that they would like to move forward with, and just weren't sure what the process was for actually being able to hire that company. That email was sent to the town manager, so maybe it was just not replied at all. Maybe it's all taken care of, but I wanted to bring it up as I hadn't seen anything come through yet.
I will look at that.
Great.
They said they figured they needed to see like a certificate of insurance before they could hire, but just weren't sure if there were any other kind of logistical things that they need to take care of. So
Yeah, basically, we have to look at the purchasing policy. I don't know what the value is. If it's over a certain amount, I have to approve it. And if it's over 10,000, the council will have to approve it. But I also want to make sure that the accepting of grants was done correctly, to make sure the Conservation Commission can accept it in the name of the town versus the council having to be able to. So I'll look into that.
okay, thank you.
Any other committee reports? Councilor Blackstone.
Yeah, so there was a planning board meeting. I'm just looking it up right now. There's a group who have a purchase and sale agreement on 75 Neo Mill Road, and this is a Class 5 road. They're looking. And we have no regulations on Class 5 roads. And I don't understand the full story, but this is a property that apparently has been considered a number of times. There were a number of people who came to the meeting specifically to oppose this operation because of for instance, it's the entrance to the walking trail for the railroad, where the old railroad was, where you can hike. The Conservation Commission and the Land Trust were also there, the Southeast Land Trust opposing it. This would require us to make it would eventually require us to make decisions about whether we're going to allow building on Class 5 roads. And apparently it would be a big deal, and we would have to make some major decisions with regard to how the city is going to, or the town is going to go forward with that. So it's, they just were there to kind of bring it up and like raise the flag, but it's something that I think we're going to hear about, many times in the future. This is a property that is totally surrounded by either conservation land or Newfield land. Is anybody familiar with it? Do you know anything about the backstory of it?
I don't have that information.
Yeah, Jonathan was shaking his head. I thought,
Hello, am I allowed to comment now on that?
Sure, please.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically surrounded. It's between Neal's Mill and Hall's Mill, and I think at some point it was connected. There's a gate at either side, and you can walk through. There's a number of trails that kind of all converge, and it's about, I think, maybe 300 acres of conservation that surrounds this one big lot in the middle. And I think a number of people tried to do a number of things with it, but again, the issue is the road. You can't get a fire truck down it because it's class 5 or whatever. So you couldn't insure a building if you built it down there. So apparently, are they trying to do a subdivision, or is it?
it's unclear right now. They're going to do something appropriate, and they want us to know that they're going to be very mindful of the circumstances.
It's listed frequently as for sale as like they call it like a gentleman's farm or a horse farm or something like that. But I had a friend who actually looked at it not that long ago, and he said that the insurance with the road and the fire department was like really hard to work out. He was going to try to do a farm or something, but he said it just a piece of property.
Yeah, the planning board did apparently a significant study of it about 4 or 5 years ago.
Well, thank you. We'll look forward to hearing more as this goes on. Was there anything else from the planning board?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? I just had one, and that was from the Energy and Environment Committee. We met last night, and just a couple things to report. There was an RFP that's in the works, and that's for a Solarize program. So some other communities have done similar types of programs where, you work with 1, 2, 3, multiple solar installation companies for residential projects, and the idea is to increase the number of residential solar projects in the community. So they're working on that RFP, and the other big item was that the committee is continuing to work on a resolution that will be forwarded to the town council at some point to request that the community or that the town council supports transitioning to renewables with some timeframes, 2030 being electric and 2050 for fuel. So the committee is currently working on that. And so last night we heard from the town manager of Hanover, as well as a representative of their energy committee. I forget exactly what their committee was called, and a person who also worked with the Sierra Club. So that's where the Energy and Environment Committee is at, and that's all I have to report. So seeing no other committee reports, we can move on to resolutions in the second reading, and we have 2 this evening. And the first, is resolution 2020-2021-31, and that's the purchase of UPS units for emergency dispatching services, and I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2020-2021-31 for the purchase of UPS units for emergency dispatching services.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Good evening. Did you want to explain what the UPS units are? I don't know.
Essentially, they're battery backups, uninterruptible power supply units that we have in a shed up at the tower.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Or comments? I'm seeing none. So if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor July?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders? Counselor Blackstone? Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Brebeck?
Aye.
Counselor Piper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And get back to the next item that we have is resolution 2020-2021-32, and that is the new road, I forget the title of it, new road water and drainage improvements. And I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2020-2021-32, new road, water, and drainage improvements.
I'll second that motion.
I know we have Sean Gregg here to speak to the resolution.
So this resolution is to, this work actually is to finish the engineering for the water project and the drainage project on the new road. The drainage project has a $500,000 grant from CDBG, and it's the complete portion, which is a $1 million project to fix the drainage on the new road and to get an outfall pipe down the wastewater.
Are there any questions? I had a couple, and so, well, first is a comment, and so I'm assuming that this is, will be shovel ready once the bond is approved,
Yes.
hopefully.
There's two different
Well-
items.
Or that,
There's two different pieces.
okay,
One, the water has already been approved. The water has funding for it. So the water is going to get done. What hasn't been approved yet is the drainage portion, which is up to town vote. If it does not pass town vote, we will not be doing that portion of this project and will not be doing the engineering work as we can. But we still will be moving ahead with the water.
so this engineering is only for the water?
Both.
Or it's for both, okay.
Yes, so there's a lot of common items that have to be
Right.
done for both of them. So there is a cost sharing in that as well. But if, for some reason, the other piece, we will stop doing the drainage portion and we'll continue on with the water, which we have.
Great. And assuming that the bond does pass, we'll be ready to move forward
Yes,
and
yes.
on the timetable that was, because there was a timetable that was by the summer.
Yes,
Right.
and the other piece of that, all the money we spend now is reimbursable through that fund from the revolving loan fund.
Perfect. And that was the other piece of my question was, that I even hate to ask, is that if it doesn't pass, so we would still be doing that the water piece
Yes,
of the
because
of the project.
The water piece, we have a $500,000 grant already.
Right.
That passed 2 years ago on town vote, so that is moving ahead. And that's approximately a $760,000 project with a $500,000 grant that we don't have to pay back. So it'd be crazy for us not to move ahead.
It's
Absolutely.
confusing that there's a water and a stormwater portion of this going concurrently, because as we've said, when you open up the road, rather do everything at once than have to reopen it up later. So that's why we're doing this engineering work now, in case the bond does. And even if it doesn't, it's good to have this information there so we can say, okay, this is what we have to do, and when next time we can get in there.
Right. And then, this isn't so much a question for Mr. Gregg as it is for you. If assuming that everything happens on schedule, would we then be do you expect that we would be paving that portion of New Road this fall?
I would
Or
assume
would that
so
be
when
too
the-
soon?
When the product,
Paving will happen once the project is done.
right,
Okay. Because I know that's been on the, we've been waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes
We were
it's
waiting
tough
for
to be
that.
patient.
yeah,
Well, there's a lot of pieces. It's a big project.
right.
There's a lot of projects that are gonna be happening this year. A lot of roads are gonna be torn up. It's gonna be a busy.
Well, we have that to look forward to. Were there any other questions for Sean? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Braybeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. And then we have a few nominations and appointments this evening. The first is, Richard Alprin, and that is as a cemetery trustee, a 3-year term to expire in 2024, and I would accept a motion to approve that nomination, or accept the nomination.
I'll make a motion to approve Richard Alprin as cemetery trustee with the term expiration of 4/2024.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Braybeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
The next nomination is for, Michael Pelzar as a, sorry, I'm trying to open it as I'm speaking, as a cemetery trustee for a 3-year term, and that would also expire in March of 2024, and I accept a motion to approve that nomination.
I'll make a motion to approve Michael Pelsar as a cemetery trustee with term expiration of March of 2024.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Braybeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. We're fortunate to have people like Michael Pelzar and Richard Alprin to serve in that capacity and have served for so long. So I appreciate them. The next appointment that we have is for Nancy Eaton, and that is to serve on the Veterans Committee. And that is a term to expire in 2024, and I accept a motion to approve that nomination.
I will make a motion to approve Nancy Eaton to serve on the Veterans Committee with a term expiration of 2024.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Braybeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion 0.
And then the next that we have is, and the last, is Derek Fisher, and that is as a non-resident business owner to serve on the parking committee with a term to expire December 2023, and I would accept a motion to approve that.
I will make a motion to approve Derek Fisher to serve on the Parking Committee with a term expiration of December of 2023.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, if you could call the roll.
Counselor Dumont?
Aye.
Counselor Sanders?
Aye.
Counselor Blackstone?
Aye.
Counselor Braybeck?
Aye.
Counselor Kuiper?
Aye.
Counselor Burns?
Aye.
Counselor Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
And I would only mention that recently circulated, I don't know if it came from the town newsletter or I saw it in the Newmarket Business Association newsletter, actually, the openings that we have currently on town boards. So there are still lots of openings on town committees and boards, as well as positions, elected positions that are available if people are interested. So it's a lengthy. Greatly appreciate all of the people who volunteer their time on serving on boards like the cemetery trustees, like the parking commission, Veterans Memorial Trust, all of these different boards that make our town work. So I definitely encourage people, if you're interested, whether it's the arts or the environment or the conservation, I mean, there are so many opportunities to be involved. I strongly encourage people to check out that list and to volunteer some of your time. So with that, we can move on to resolutions in the first reading. And we have 2 this evening. And the first is Resolution 2020-2021-33, and that's the acceptance of Boulder Drive as a town road. Whereas a final inspection was done by Underwood Engineers and the Newmarket Public Works Department, and it was determined the road meets the town standards and specifications for road acceptance. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that Boulder Drive be accepted as a town road and authorize the town manager to sign and record the warranty deed at the Rockingham County Register of Deeds. First reading February 17th, 2021. And the second resolution that we have this evening in the first reading is Resolution 2020-2021-34, and that's South Main Street, Bay Road, and Cushing Road Water Project. Whereas the town passed a warrant article to replace the South Main Street and Bay Road water mains and to extend the Bay Road water main down Cushing Road to connect the Moody Point water system. And whereas Grannies and Sons are the lowest bidder to install the new water mains and replace the Bay Road sewer main. And whereas the water mains will be funded with funds from rural development and the sewer main will be funded with funds from sewer capital reserves. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that Newmarket approves the $4,500,000 budget for the South Main Street, Bay Road, and Cushing Road water project. The Newmarket Town Council authorizes $913,000 to be withdrawn from sewer capital reserves for the replacement of the Bay Road sewer main. The Newmarket Town Council authorizes the town manager to enter into agreements with Grannies and Sons, Wright Pierce, and Fuss and O'Neill for the South Main Street, Bay Road, and Cushing Road water project. There's a chart there for the funding, which I will not read, with the first reading February 17th, 2021. And that is all we have for ordinances in the first reading. Is there any correspondence to the town council?
There is none.
And then any closing comments by town councilors?
I just wanted to parrot off of what Councilor Weinstein said. As of February 12th, it is 15 members that we still need positions to be filled. 3 of those are alternates, so that doesn't even commit you to a meeting every single month. And it is also worth pointing out that I think we're still short a member for the town council for one of the positions next year. So I would love to see a contested write-in race, but please get out there and help volunteer to serve your community.
Councilor Kuiper.
I just want to say that at the end of the month, New Hampshire Chronicle will be featuring Wentworth Cheswell, and also New Hampshire Magazine has got a big spread about him as well coming out some point, I think, at the end of the month. So 2 things to look out for about Newmarket.
Nice.
Very cool. Thank you. I also wanted to mention just a couple things. This isn't really much of an update, but I did reach out to the Newmarket Business Association because they typically sponsor a candidates night. So I reached out to Lisa Kessler just today to see if that was happening, and she was reaching out to her people to see if anybody was going to be taking that on. Because I do think that whether we have, 2 candidates for 10 positions or whatever, it doesn't matter, or 10 candidates for 2 positions. I think that it's important for people to have the opportunity to hear from those candidates and ask questions, and find out, whether or not they want to vote for you. So for us. So so hopefully that will be happening. Obviously, this year it would be via Zoom and not in person. But I do hope that will happen this year to give everybody the opportunity to learn more about the people who are making sometimes really important decisions. So there was that, and I feel like I had one other thought that I didn't write down, so I will leave it. And so seeing no other questions or comments, I will consider us adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.